everyone. We have a very special person here with us today. His name is Ron Weaver, and he was one of the original developers of Toontown Online. Yeah. So Ron has this incredible presentation that he's put together today. We're going to start with hearing from Ron about his history with the game and some insights that he's going to share. We'll have some Q&A at the end. And then later on after this panel, Ron will head back to our booth. So if you want an autograph, if you want to ask him some questions one-on-one, we'll have a line set up there for that. But without further ado, I'm going to bring up Ron, and we'll get this thing started.
Thank you, Joey. Okay. Nobody turn around, but there are some cogs in the back of the room. So this could all go horribly wrong in a minute, all right? All right. Okay.
What levels are those cogs?
What levels are they? I don't know. They don't have any signs over their heads.
I would think that if it was like a level 12 mover, say.
We'll figure it out. Okay. Great. I'm so happy to be here. I've got a little talk prepared for you all, but there also will be time for Q&A at the end. Now, one thing, I'm going to have to kind of crane my head to the side here to see this. No worries, but that's what I'm doing when I'm looking awkwardly to the side. That's what that's about. Okay. Oh, is the microphone not? How about now? I kind of like that too. Okay. All right. So it's August. It's 2001, Los Angeles, California. So I am a lowly intern, summer intern on Toontown Online. I'm surprised they kept me around after the summer. And I'm giving a presentation with Jesse Shell, the creative director. Well, I should say he's giving the presentation. I'm just helping to drive the demo, right? Just doing whatever he says in the game to show off Toontown, one of the first earliest public appearances of the game. We're just playing through. This is not an image of the actual gameplay. We didn't capture that. But we're just playing through. We're throwing gags, right? We're squirting and dropping on Cogs and so forth. And then eventually we defeat a Cog. And then Jesse wanted to show what happens when you die in the game, because you don't actually die, right? You just get sad, which is adorable. So he wanted to show that off. So he's talking about, you've got the little X's over the eyes. Yeah, cute, right? Well, I'm just kind of running through the game, and, I die in the game, and then I do what I always do when I die in the game, the same thing I've done 100 times every day working on the game. I type in the cheat code to heal my toon. So I type toon up, and then my toon immediately becomes happy, and Jesse's like, What are you doing? The crowd starts laughing because they realize that I'm an idiot. Yeah, they know what's going on. And so I am surprised that they kept me on working on the game after silly hijinks like that. So that was one of the earliest debuts of the game in Los Angeles. So to tell you briefly who I am one of the original programmers on Toontown Online, and I've also worked on theme park attractions with Walt Disney Imagineering, which is fun. You don't have to apply for that, but thank you. You're so kind. I've also worked on escape rooms, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, and some other games for companies like Electronic Arts. He's like, nah, I don't know. Toontown's better. All right. Oh, y'all are a fun crowd. My current role, I'm the technical design director at FIA. It's a mouthful. It's the Florida Interactive Entertainment Academy. I know that's a lot to say. That's part of UCF. It's a grad school for game development. So I get to teach people how to make games, which is so crazy fun. I love it. And so that's my current role. Yes, game development. Yes. All right. Okay. So the title of this little micro talk is The 3 Most Unforgettable and Dastardly Cogs. Yeah. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm going to be talking about the hardest ones. No, I'm not talking about the hardest ones. I'm talking about the ones that were most memorable, like behind the scenes, at least for me, from my perspective, right? And so this is a lot of behind the scenes talk, right? Which I think is the kind of thing that you all enjoy about the game, right? Good. I'm glad to hear it. Yes. Okay, so let's get into it, right? But first, a mystery, or an Easter egg, if you will, okay? There's something that happens in Toontown that nobody knows what's going on except for me, because I've not explained this to anybody ever. Okay, so this is an amusing thing that I put into the game, and I'm going to see if you can figure out why this is in the game. Okay, so that's my face. What? Oh. I'm not in the game, so. All right, is the video gonna play now? Yeah, there we go. So this is Spin from Spin Doctor, which we have one right over here. It's all right. Now, watch the video. Let's see. I've got it in slow-mo here. That was the slow-mo. Okay. So here, I'll play it again. Watch at the end of the animation for the tune what's going on. All right, spinning around and then goes the other way. What? Did anybody notice that? Yeah. Okay, a couple people, but it's subtle, right? It's subtle. Okay. I'm not going to tell you why I did that yet because I'm a tease. But I will tell you at the end of the talk, and we'll see if you can figure it out. All right? So, moving forward. I promised you 3 cogs that were the most unforgettable and dastardly. We will begin our list number 3, and that's going to be Downsizer. Who likes Downsizer? Nobody likes Down. Okay, a couple of you. I should have known. All right, well, here's why Downsizer was a memorable cog to work on in the game. Pink Slip. Oh, I don't want to say Pink Slip again because the P's are popping. Okay. So Pink Slip was an extremely memorable attack for me to program into the game, and here's why. So I was provided one line from a table, a chart, for each of the attacks in the game. This is in the game design document. This stuff is all out there right now. Like you all have probably seen, there's an incredible amount of leaked stuff from the game that's out there. So you can read the entire game design document if you want. This is what I was provided for this attack. And the key part to look at here would be the cog action and then the tune reaction. Now you can see here the idea was to be hit with the Pink Slip. Now, we have a lot of attacks like that, right? And I wanted every attack to feel as unique as possible. So I'm feeling like hitting the tune with this piece of paper is weird. Paper doesn't even really hurt. It's not like that big baseball or the golf ball. Am I right? The daggers? Man, right? So those are evocative things to smack you in the face, but the Pink Slip doesn't work that way. So what do we got to do with the Pink Slip? What are we going to do with it? Yes, we're going to slip on it. Of course, you have to slip on the Pink Slip. Come on, right? So here's how that video looks. Here's a little clip of what it looks like in the game. And whoop, right? You've probably seen it, right? If you've forgotten what it looks like, that's what it looks like in the game. So here's the code. No big deal. I'm sure you all can figure this out. It's simple stuff. You've probably seen it before. No big deal. It's easy. Everybody got it? You know, it's simple. Okay. So we're just going to look at this one little part, okay? We can handle just this one little part, right? So the trick with this was I needed a way to splice animations together easily and quickly and control the timing because I'm neurotic about the timing of these things, down to the 10th of a second. You want it to be perfect, right? I needed to do that quickly, so I wrote some code in order to put together animations with the right kind of timing quickly. And so that's what this is doing. It's actually calling the jump animation. This first number, that's just a delay. We don't use that here. You'll see it used later. It's a delay. So it's effectively 0, just 0.01, all right? And then this second number is when we're going to start in the animation. And then the last one is how long the animation is going to run. So you can see the jump animation doesn't start at the beginning here. And that's actually important because I really wanted to make it so that when you were attacked by this, you didn't know if the tune was going to dodge it or not until the last second. So, right? So the timing is actually identical. I think it's 2.8 seconds on when we start moving. It's just in the one where you fail, I jump 0.3 seconds ahead in the animation so that your foot lands at the time when the Pink Slip is coming under the foot, right? And so that makes it so that you actually look like you slip on the Pink Slip, right? And so splicing those together allows you to have the animation that you saw before, and I'll play it again, of slipping on the Pink Slip. So that was one of the first core techniques, is finding a way to do animations and splicing them together. Number 2, you all ready? Drum roll, please. Lone shot. I see you. hope this is not the highlight of your life. It might be. But it would be a good one. It would be a good one. Okay. All right. So, loan shark, extremely memorable. Everybody's scared of sharks, right? Like, who is not afraid of sharks? Raise your hand. Wow. Even my own daughter over here is like, no, I'm fine. Right? All right. So, loan shark was very, very memorable. Why? Because of Chomp. All right. Chomp was a lot to put together to get this to be the way I would like it to be. The cog action here, you can read it for yourself, and then the tune reaction here, you can see what the game design document said that it should be. Here's the thing. Yes. So that's the idea, is kind of getting chomped there in the butt, right? So now we didn't have an animation to be being chomped like behind you. We didn't have any animation like that at all. So thank goodness I had written my code to put the animations together in strange ways with different timing, because I was able to use that system a lot on this, okay? So first sorry, I got loud again. We'll look at this animation, and you can see what Chomp looks like. The teeth come at you, and then boom. All right? I'll play it again, because some of you may not have seen that in a while. All right, we'll go back. And so you can see the teeth are coming at you, and then they're going to come and bite you right there. Now, does anybody notice anything weird about that animation when the tune was moving forward? Like, there's a pause before the tune goes, yeah. We don't have an animation to being bitten like that, so I'm reusing a different animation. Do you know what it is? It's not the sound. Yes, it's spit is what we call it in the game. You wouldn't know it by that name, but that's what it is. So you're going to see that here. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. A lot of these are repeated. It's okay. These are repeated. Okay. But I'm going to explain what's going on, all right? So I'm reusing the spit animation because drink the glass of water, and then the tune leans forward to spit out at the cog, right? And because the tune leads forward like that, I've reasoned that maybe I could use that as a way to look like you were getting bitten from behind, right? And so that's actually what's in here. You can kind of see that in the code. We start off here with the cringe, because you're afraid when the teeth are coming at you. And then you have that spit animation. And you can see I've got my little timing in there of when to start it and stop it to make it look right. And then you see there's this other part, the part that repeats, which is really weird. And so let me give you a little explanation here. We have that delay, and we are using it now with that 0.08 seconds a couple times. And then we have this start time in the animation, and then we have our duration of how long it runs. So you can see here that we're repeating something. We're repeating something where we pause for a moment, but then we also move the animation forward a little bit, just 0.07 seconds, but then we do negative 0.07 seconds. Does anybody have an instinct of what that does? Yeah, that does run it backwards. Y'all are smart. Y'all got it. Yeah, it runs it backwards. So we're doing something back and forth and pausing a little bit in between. So if you watch the animation again, you can see that it kind of looks like the tune is rubbing its back after the attack. We don't have an animation for that, but we do have an animation of putting the water glass away, right? Right? And that's the trick of reusing it in that way so that it looks like something new that doesn't really exist. And wait, sorry. Wait. Look for it now in the, no, stop it. Okay, and we're gonna play now. There. You can watch, it looks like it's kind of rubbing that wound back there, right? Yeah, right? Now, admittedly, it still looks a little janky. It still looks a little weird, right? In most cases, you would have an animator actually go and create a customized animation for that. I hated asking people for things. And so I would just do it and then wait for somebody to be like, that looks awful, let's do it better. And that didn't really happen. So, yeah. And then we're going on to number one, the last one. Drum roll, please. Microagger. She's so cute, though, right? I mean, come on. Like, you have to love it when a micromanager is just coming down silly straight. It's like, all right, there she is. Okay, so let me explain why Micromanager was quite a memorable one. So demotion was quite a handful to do the way that it was done. So the cog action here, you can read this for yourself. I know you all know how to read. And then the tune action, reaction on that, freeze, right? So when I saw this one, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the easiest one of all time. Like, I can just play the animation for the cog doing their little magic spell thing, and then just do the cringe and hold it in place, and I already have my timing thing, and and I'm done. I'll go to lunch. Right? That was it looked like one of the easiest ones to do. But by this point, I had gotten really used to doing a lot of particle effects. I kind of became like the particle effects guy. People would have particle effects that they would want, and they'd come over to me to help them do it, like the healing particle effects, laugh boost, and so forth. I did those as well. And so I got a little crazy with particle effects. And so you can kind of see it here in the animation. It's a lot. Right? And so then you can see the particle effect of you freezing, and then another little one there at the end, right? And so I think it's fun. It's fun to do particle effects. But there's another weird thing going on with the way the animation works on the tune itself. Do you see what it is? Anybody have a sense for what's happening? Slowing down. Yeah, it's slowing down. And so let me give you a little peek at that, all right? Just this tiny little snippet here. I'm going to show you a couple lines here. We've got the timing. Now, this is a special little piece of code that I wrote that allows me to change the timing of the animation. I made it so that I could make it go a little faster and a little slower by inserting little delays to make it go slower, or skipping frames to make it go faster. So I wrote some special code to do that so I could slow things down like this, because I thought that would be fun, that the motion would slow over time, right? And so you can see here, the original animation would have run for 0.4 seconds here, and I'm making it run for 0.5. So it's just a little bit longer. That's really just a 25% slowing down, okay? And then you can see here with the next line of code, we're playing with the timing, 0.3 seconds becomes 0.5, and then 0.3 becomes 0.6. So you see the tune gradually get slower and then slower still in that cringe animation, so that it looks like you're being frozen in place rather than just instantly freezing. It looks more natural, right? And so let me see if the video will play again here. I had a problem with this before. Oh, and that's also the pause once you get completely frozen. That's in there. So you can see it get slower and slower until he's completely frozen. And then he stops, right? So the idea there was writing special code in order to be able to control the timing in that way. That was the idea of it. And so ultimately for me, I discovered that if I spent a little extra time writing some special code to allow me to do a new feature, it actually opened up many, many other mechanics and gameplay features that I could do because of that time investment. So that was a big life lesson I learned on Toontown in the process, in order to be able to make yourself faster by giving yourself little tools that you can use. So that was a little fun one to use. So some other contributions that I made to the game, I did work on most of the gags as well. So when I arrived, the squirt and the throw were pretty much done. I only needed to go in and modify the fire hose on Squirt, which was a nightmare to get all the placement right for the different cog sizes, the tune sizes, and so forth. And then there's one with a rain cloud that comes over and like rains on you and so forth. And I put in that cloud and the particle effects and so forth on that one. And then I did most of the other. Y'all know the name of it. Yes, look at y'all. I love it. Yeah. Then I did the trap and lure system as well. And then I went back and did the healing gags for particle effects on those, and then changed drop timings and animations and so forth for some of that stuff. So it was so fun to work on the gags. So you don't have to be mad at me for just putting a bunch of cog attacks into the game. I also provided a lot of the gag stuff as well. Okay, I did a lot of camera work. The battle system was pretty unique in that time, of giving you different camera views continually to kind of keep the battle fresh. And so I loved making little random placements for the camera. Got myself in trouble one time doing that. Once you got to the Berg, there were some particularly big trees there in the streets. And so I'd written my code to where there was a certain range where the camera could go to provide a unique shot for the battle. And those trees were so big that sometimes they would block my cameras. So yeah, I got a bug one day coming in on that. Like, we can't see the fight in the Berg. What's going on? Like, I messed it up. It's my fault. So I had to tweak that kind of thing. But it was a lot of fun to try to make different camera angles in the game. I did work on some of the leveling for the cogs, mainly which cogs would appear and when and of what level and what areas and that kind of thing, because it was fun. I just wanted to work on that. It was the kind of thing that Jesse was working on, and I was like, can I help with that, please, too? And he was very gracious about that. He always let me dip my toe in the water of anything I wanted to try. Also taunts, because that's just fun. I mean, right? Just to write taunts for cogs with all those silly puns that are in there. Love it. So I wrote plenty of those as well, because I couldn't resist doing that. So with regards to trap and lure, I wanted to mention one of those that was particularly strange. So the marble trap. You familiar with throwing the marbles out there, right? So I call the marble animation, right? It was made by Bruce Woodside, the animator. And I call it, and the marbles just go up and down. That's it. They don't go out. And I'm like, this is broken, right? This is not working. So I go over to Bruce's desk, and I'm like, hey, the marble animation, they just bounce up and down. They don't go out at all. And he's like, aha. So you play the animation, they bounce up and down, but you, in code, will tell the marbles exactly how far to go. And then once you do that together, it'll make the marbles look like they're flying through the space as they should. And I was like, it was like I was at Hogwarts, and this is a Wingardium Leviosa moment for me of like, you've taught me this amazing thing. What a cool trick, right? Bruce was amazing. And so that's exactly what I did. I could program exactly where the marbles could go, because there's different distances if you think about it. If there's one toon on the edge of a 4v4 and then facing the cog on the other edge, that's going to be a longer distance than just going straight across to a cog, right? And so that does have to be programmatically, and he foresaw that. And so that's actually how the marbles work. If you don't remember what the marbles look like, here's a little video of them flying through space. That's a combination of programmatic and keyframed animation, right, to get the marbles to bounce like that. So pretty fun stuff. Okay. And now I will reveal the mystery that I have alluded to before and tell you what this strange little Easter egg is for in this spin animation. So here it is again to remind you what I'm talking about. The toon is spun here by this spin doctor, and then at the end of it, it turns around backwards the other way. So here's the deal. I have a dance background, all right? And so something that dancers learn is that when you're doing a whole bunch of turns, you need a spot, which just means that you need to find a spot in the back of the room, like, for instance, where this bloodsucker is back here, right? Or, yeah. Right? This lone shark. So you find a spot, and then you turn your head. All right, I'll demonstrate. Like you're turning, and then at the last moment, you want to whip your head around quicker than I just did, okay? And then you can keep that spot so that you don't get as dizzy, right? You've probably seen dancers do this when they do those tons of turns, like, turns in second, that kind of thing. You see dancers do that. That's a spot. So another trick you have in dance, though, is that if you do a whole bunch of turns, if you actually do just one or two turns in the other direction right afterwards, it literally helps to reestablish your equilibrium. It's a strange phenomenon with the way that the fluid works in the inner ear, because it's spinning around. If you spin it the other way, it actually slows it down with that angular velocity. It's strange, but it works, right? So if you get dizzy, spin once or twice the other way. It totally works. So in this case, with Spin Doctor, after I'd spun your toon around all these times, I felt kind of bad. So I'm like, everybody's toon is going to get dizzy. And so I don't want that. I'm going to spin them around the other way so they're not dizzy anymore. I know. Yes, yeah. I know it sounds really silly to care about the dizziness of a toon, because your toon isn't real. No, never mind. I didn't say that. I'm not sorry. I didn't mean that. No. You have a custom plushie of your toon on your bed right now. It's real. I got it. It's real. Yes. So that's that little Easter egg and why that little silly thing is in there if you ever happen to notice it. Okay. So this guy right here, Uncle Walt, he said that he came up with the idea for the theme park while he was sitting on a park bench at Griffith Park watching his two daughters, Diane and Sharon, on a carousel. And I love to think about the idea that I feel like he's had a sense that we were doing it wrong. Like, why is he watching his daughters play? He should be playing with his two daughters. And so because of Toontown Rewritten, I am also a father who gets to play with his two daughters. Yeah. And also my cousin-in-law once removed Lauren. Yes. Yeah. But you want to know the real kicker? Gwen and Kate are sitting right there. Yes. Because they're very supportive of their daddy. And they wanted a free Toontown Rewritten t-shirt. That's a very important. That's a big point. Yes. All right. That's my time. Thank you so much.
All right. So we do have some time for questions for Ron. So if you want to very slowly make your way over here to the microphone, we'll get through as many questions as we can until about 4:15.
Great.
And just as you come up, we'd love to hear your name and/or tune name and a question for Ron.
Hi, my name is Brandon, tune name King Pancake. One question I had was, one of the core memories that I had when playing Toontown was playing with the Toon Troopers. My question is, did you get a chance to work with the Toon Troopers yourself? And how are they doing now, if you're friends with any of them?
No, unfortunately, I didn't work on any of the Toon Trooper content. I was moving on to other Disney projects after this, so I wasn't actually working on that. But I hope they're well. Anybody know? They're well?
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Jonathan. I'm Silly Sparkle Facing Game. This one's for Ron. If you suddenly have the opportunity to work on the game again, what would you add?
Oh.
That's a really good question. Really, what do you want Toontown Rewritten to add? Is I feel like, in a sense, what you're giving us now.
I will scope bomb you, okay? Don't even bite that. So I always felt, in putting in the Cog attacks, that it was fun to have them look different, but I think it would be fun to have them work differently, to have different effects on you, right? So if you get demotion, maybe your tune is slowed a little bit as you run around for the next minute or something, right? Because you just demotioned, right? Things like that, if you're frozen. If you're on fire, obviously that's an opportunity for damage over time, like nerdy RPG, things like that. Yeah. So I always thought it'd be fun that the different kinds of attacks would be meaningful on your tune, even maybe long term. If you got pickpocketed, maybe they even stole a few jelly beans, right? Right? We have a pickpocketing gang over here that they want it. Yeah. Right? Because then it would create unique strategies where you'd maybe go into battle with fewer jelly beans on hand if you know you're going to deal with a lot of penny pinchers and so forth, right?
Cool. Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. I'm just gonna go by tune name. Tune name is Titanium. Now, this question might be a little bit complicating or a little bit complex. Now, in an alternate universe where Toontown Online and Rewritten and other fan servers still exist, what would Toontown Online look like if it was created by a different company? Like, I'm talking about Nickelodeon, Warner, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like it wouldn't have been as easy to play. Because for the longest time, there was a free 3-day trial on the game. It was a monthly subscription, as you all know. Yeah. But it was always easy to play for free. So I remember there were lots of people who, when in talking about like my past game development experience, they would ask about Toontown, and then they could always play for free and easy. And I feel like when you look at modern games, they never miss an opportunity to try to ask you for money. Right? It's like penny pincher, it's like pickpocket. And it becomes so annoying to constantly avoid ads and be reminded that you're in this, not even really a game anymore, but in this mercantile exchange of money. And that's very anti-Toontown, right? Yeah. Because it's against the man, right? It's against the cogs, the suits, if you will, right? It's against all that. And so that's one of the reasons why I love that Toontown Rewritten was always built to be free just for the love of the game. There was no attempt to monetize and let's see how much money we can make. They're doing it for free. I mean, they pay out of their pocket to keep those servers on. It's a charitable effort. Let's give a hand to that. Yeah. Right?
Thank you.
And that's the Toontown spirit. Okay, yes, you can keep going.
Hi, my name is Joey, otherwise known as Toon Joey, otherwise known as Sergeant Slippy Misenhofer. This is a bit of a double feature of a question. I do go through those leaks a lot. I actually use them sometimes in my projects. I do notice that there are a lot of Cog attacks that the community doesn't point out, such as Ditto, Flood the Market,
Yep.
Tidal Wave.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got stuff to say on that.
I have two questions. One, why were these taken out? And two, Did any of these have any significant work on them, specifically ones that seemingly never got programmed?
All right, I'm with you. I'm all over this. First off, I thought that was Toon Joey. I don't know, but
No.
but hey, it's okay.
He has the
Two of
title
us.
of Toon Joey for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the cigar one that you mentioned. I remember seeing that in the game design document. So when I arrived in Los Angeles to work on it, I got there on the Friday before I was supposed to start on the Monday, and I was so excited to start working it. I said, can I come down and start today? And they're like, no, you don't start till Monday. And they're like, well, do you want to do lunch? I'm like, yes, let me do lunch. So I had lunch with a bunch of folks on the team at the Big D, which is the little diner there at Walt Disney Imagineering. And they gave me this game design document, which was like this huge pile. It was big. It was very, very big. And I just voraciously consumed it that whole weekend. And I remember seeing there the whole cigar, the Cigar Attack. And I'm like, really? Like in a Disney game? We're going to do the cigar thing? Like, I know there was a cigar in Pinocchio. It's like, it was made a long time ago. I get it. But I just, it was kind of a little cringy to me. So I was very glad to see that it didn't take long before it's like, no, we're not going to do that one. Like,
So
never
you're the
mind.
one.
Hmm?
So you're the one.
Who cut it? Because you wanted it, right? Yeah, I didn't personally cut it, but I was glad that, like, this is not the right vibe for Toontown, right? You got 7-year-old girls in there and 10-year-old girls in there, and so it just doesn't work, I think, as a vibe, I would say, to have that in there. So that's why that was not included. I think that was one of the original, it was one of the original 67 that there was code ready to put them in, and then not all of them got in there. I think there were 5 that we started with, and then I think it got up to like 60-ish by the time I was done, and then the cigar one was one of the ones that we cut. In addition to Ditto and Carbon Copy, which were going to be the same kind of thing. Let me tell you about that one, right? So we get to Carbon Copy, and we're talking it through, and I'm like, so Jesse was such a good friend. So was Mike Goslin. Mike Goslin was also very brilliant at figuring out programmatic problems to help me out with. So many amazing people in that team. And so we'd have conversations about these things, and at some point there was a conversation about, like, well, first off, where do you put the cog, right? We got this 4-on-4 thing going. You can't really put the cog in front, because any attack that, like, say, with the golf ball is the golf ball going to go through the other cog? Like, where do you put the cog? You can't really put it behind for that same reason. If you put it to the side, that creates a larger area that is problematic for where certain battles need to take place and so forth. So just the first problem of where do you put the extra cog? And then the original intent, too, is that it was going to be amplified. The attacks would basically do double because there's a double copy. That's extremely overpowered. To, like, double attack is a big deal. And so anytime we'd use that would be rare, because you don't want to, like, be mean and make the game too hard at different moments. And then lastly, you'd have to spawn an entirely new cog and then figure out how to correctly despawn that, remove that from the game as well, which doesn't sound like it's that hard, but then you have to remember that it's a networked game. So anything that we spawn in the game, and the traps were an awful case of this, has to be figured out as far as, like, how do we create that ghost that on the other people's machines who didn't create the trap itself. I know that's getting into some nerdy stuff, but there were so many reasons why that was technically crazy to do. So we postponed it, but maybe somebody might get it in. Right? Just don't ask me to help out with that one. I'm out. Thank you for your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, my toon name is Jake Cheesy Marble. So you said the Micromanager was the most memorable cog. She uses an attack called Brainstorm, and it is the least accurate cog attack in the game. It has a 5% accuracy, and I'm wondering if you knew why that was the case.
Being nice to you, I guess. Man, these cogs, they're not beating me up enough. What's the deal with that?
Yeah. Well,
It's like
something
this-
that I've realized just being in the workplace is usually micromanagers aren't the greatest at brainstorming to begin with, right? Like,
Oh! He got you with lore. Nice. I can't beat that answer. That's better than what I would have said.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my toon name is Professor Slumpy Bumberbrains.
Please give me that again.
Huh?
Please give me that again.
Professor Slumpy Bumberbrains.
Schlumpy?
Slumpy, like a slump.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Got it.
My question was whether or not you were on the Toontown Online team when they originally had it designed as suits as opposed to cogs, and whether or not you think it would have, like, who made the decision to change them into cogs?
Yes. So I came in while that was still a hot button topic, because it was awkward. Because as you as you know in the lore, and it's well documented online, the Cogs were originally suits, and they were dressed like business executives, and you can see that in some of the original concept art. So I remember this moment. This was probably the second week I was there, and there was this all-hands meeting for all of Walt Disney Imagineering R&D, the research and development group. And the VR studio, the virtual reality studio, which created Toontown Online, was part of that. So we go in this room with like 90 people in there, and I'm very intimidated by all these folks. And we're going around the room just saying what we're working on, right? It was just kind of a check-in thing. And it was a hot-button issue that the suits were converted to Cogs. Like, that was kind of in the air. They come around to me. I'd already been spending a week or two like in the code, and all the code says suits everywhere. It's nothing but suits, right? Movie suit attacks, I was in that file a lot. It says suits everywhere, so in my brain there's suits. So we get around to me, and what are you working on? I'm like, hi, my name's Ron, I'm working on the suit attacks. Awkward silence, right? It's like, what? And so we just kind of like went on gracefully, and like later it was like, remember, we told you they're Cogs, you gotta call them Cogs. This was a whole thing about them needing to be called Cogs. And ultimately, I think that decision actually made the game stronger, because if you think about it, if you were going to destroy this enemy, like, nobody wants to actually hurt people, right? So in this case, you just have this robot that you destroy, and the robot has no heart, right? I guess, you know? Right. And so it has all those little cog explosions, which was a crazy fun particle effect to do that one. And so it's a good thing, especially with games that have younger audiences, that you'll see a lot of fighting robots and fighting things that aren't real, because
you could get away with a lot more with robots.
Yeah, so that ultimately strengthened it, because another thing that it did too is it gave you that motif, that theme of the robotics, right? With the cog gear symbol and the buildings and all of that kind of techno-babble that's there is wonderful. And so I think that decision, which was ultimately a corporate decision of like, hey, do we have to call them suits? It actually strengthened the game to make that change. Yeah. All right, I'm going to give faster answers because there are a lot of people.
Okay, sorry. Hello there. So my Toon name is Daffy Twinkle Marble, and I actually do have two questions. Well, I guess you could consider it two in one. But basically, if there was going to be like for the final boss, how like the CEO is like, oh no, the chairman won't like this. How would have like a chairman boss fight look? And also, would there have been more cog lines that would have been added if the game like went on?
Oh, absolutely. Like, if a game is ongoing, a game is a service, you're going to have a constant flow of new content. So would there be new cogs? I imagine there would be, and new cog attacks, new gags, new content constantly. And then there is, thankfully, right? and it's just a wonderful thing to have that still, especially after all these years, because that's not a future that I envisioned at all for the game. I imagined it was going to be sunset, as all MMOs are, and lasting 10 years like it did was still a long track record for MMOs. And then to have it last, another, like the Toontown Rewritten team at this point has worked on the game longer than the original team did, which is really amazing to think about. Yes, that's a round of applause. Yeah.
My name's Summer, and what was your most favorite part of working on the game? And then what was your most ew, I don't want to do this, but you still did it anyway?
Well, I think my favorite part of the game was when I started to play test. We went into a beta, and we had real players starting to play the game. And just to see how excited they became about this little thing that we were trying out was incredible, and a powerful feeling to have people enjoy the game and want to play. And we also saw this stunning effect with ages, where we were expecting a pretty good, healthy peak after school, because the game was intended for tween audiences originally. And so we got that spike there for sure after school, and then dinner time, it's kind of like, all right, stop playing Toontown and come eat your green beans, right? And so, but then after dinner time, you'd see this other, not quite as big spike, but this other spike that would go up, and it's like, Mom and Dad are playing now, right? And it was true. We found that to be the case, and we were so surprised at how many older players also loved the game. And we understood how it could still be fun because we felt that gameplay was fun to us, but it was not how the mainstream MMO scene was at all. You had EverQuest Online, you had Ultima, and they were very much like traditional RPGs with all the swords and so forth. And so we were surprised at how many older players loved it. So that was my favorite moment, was seeing how people really took to the game. The worst part? I'd say the worst part would be when you would get a bug that you had no idea how to deal with, and it just killed your day. It's just like you're like going to walking to lunch, like your Toon just lost all their laugh, like shrugging your shoulders, the Charlie Brown walk. But then eventually, you kind of cogitate on it for a few hours, and then new ideas come to mind, like, oh, let me try this, and then you figure it out, and then you feel amazing. So it's still all worth it. But during that valley of a bad bug, that's the worst. Yeah. Thanks for your question.
Well, I appreciate you for working on the game.
Thank you. Thank you for your appreciation.
Thank you. Hi there. My name is Daniel. My question is, Toontown is and has been a game and community that is welcoming for guest families of all ages across multiple generations. My question is, how did that mindset, how did that ethos affect your workflow, and did you ever have to backtrack on a project because you realized it didn't fit in with the image you had in your head?
Did I have to backtrack on Toontown?
Like, did you ever get really passionate or excited about a particular thing you were working on, but then, realize it didn't necessarily fit with the brand or something?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the aforementioned Cigar Attack is a great example of that, and it wasn't even me that was making that statement. I always thought that the Glower Power thing with the daggers.
Yeah, the knives. Yeah. It is very different than a lot of the other attacks, right?
I remember when I had those daggers flying out of there so fast and like popping the Toon in the face. I'm like, I don't know. But I don't know. I think that there's some things in there that are a little bit more for not adults, obviously, but for older ages. That'd be an example of one. But no, I felt like the Toontown team itself, especially Jesse, who's amazing. Yeah. He's amazing. I absolutely worship that man. He was fantastic. And he had incredible instincts for game design and what audiences would like. He was so good at that. And Joe Shockett, another great designer, doing a lot of the quests and so forth. He was fantastic. So the game was in good hands with them.
Thank you.
Now, before our next question, so we are going to have to wrap up in a couple minutes here. I think, unfortunately, we'll only be able to get to the person here with the purple ears yet. And so then I think everyone after that, unfortunately, we won't be able to get to the question in this panel, but Ron will be at our booth later today to answer more.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Go for it.
Hello, I am Darth. My Toon name is Happy, and my question is more of a technical question. But with the early stages and back in 2000, I'm curious if there was programming challenges you or other coworkers faced due to early versions of Python. Because I've taken a look into the code. I know some things could be optimized to be better nowadays.
Well, there was actually a shift to Python, if you can believe that. Python is actually a fantastic language. It's a huge AI language right now. So all y'all looking to learn Python, it's very good in TensorFlow. AI work is predominantly done in Python. So it's actually a really good language. There was a shift to Python to make it easier to program with that. I loved it. I didn't have any issues with that as a language. I thought it was great. Enjoyed it a lot. It was very different because of the way syntax works with indentation. But no, I had no complaints about that.
Okay, so even seeing Python 3 and all that, you don't see anything the code could work better?
Oh, well, everything could always work better. that's a statement about anything that's usually true. So sure, there could be things that would be better, but I'll submit this. One of the reasons why Python was chosen is because it's an interpreted language, a high-level language that could be easily iterated with, that lives on top of the C++ layer for Panda 3D, the game engine, okay? And so because it's so fast to iterate in Python, I had so much ease in tweaking timing, no, 0.3, 0.4, and then quickly rerunning the function, and then seeing it immediately to see if the timing was better or worse. I was only able to act that quickly because of a high-level interpreted language.
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Hi, Ron. Thank you. My name is my tune is Midnight the Yellow Pig or Nebula. So like was said about Suits, Jesse Shell told lots of stories of creative ways they have avoided pushback from executives above, and like the Rats and Pandas story. From the rest of your time at Toontown, what was your general feeling about the team and what you were creating? Did you continue to be tightly looked over from above, you feel like, or that the dev team had more creative liberty compared to what it would be like today?
Right. Yeah, that is a fascinating thing to think about. So I was extremely impressed by everybody on that team because it seemed like everybody was already an expert and brilliant. And Walt Disney Imagineering is full of people like that. And so I wasn't surprised to see so much talent. I felt way out of my league and was. And so I was so impressed. There were people like Sean Patton, Greg Wiatkowski helped me with artwork. There were so many brilliant minds that were working on the game. As far as like, I guess micromanagement, you would say, right? It was surprisingly little. Like I had the GDD, I had the descriptions that were there that was intended, and then I'd implement it and put it into the game. I'd upload it into our source control, and then people would play it, and then they would generally give me compliments. You know, some bugs would come in. I think Bugzilla was the tracker we were using, if memory serves. And I'd fix the bugs. But in general, I was doing the work that was outlined in the document. And no one was hanging over me like, oh, you're doing it wrong. Or I would go to Jesse and often Mike and sometimes Dave Rose, one of the engine programmers, for help on certain things when I was out of my league. And they would help out. But overall, it was actually a wonderful working relationship. People just wanted to make the game better. Everybody wanted to do that themselves. No one needed to be motivated to do that. We loved what we were working on.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Hi, my name is Graham. My toon name is Po Pumpkin Tooth. And out of curiosity, did you work on any of the boss Cogs attacks? And if so, which one was your favorite to work on and why?
No. I was gone by that time, so I didn't get to do that. But let me tell you this. The one I would have loved to work on, the animation wasn't in while I was there, was Song and Dance. I would have loved to have done that, but no, it wasn't ready. But thankfully, you put it in, didn't you? Somebody put it in.
We've used it in some ways, but we don't have it as an attack in Toontown Rewritten right now. But we've used the animation for like other things.
Okay, that's where I've seen it.
Yeah.
It needs to be an attack. Wink, wink.
All right, we'll get on that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi, my name is Queenie. My toon's name is Bubbles Zooble Mew. I had a question originally, but I realized that concerns the design doc, so I wanted to say, you mentioned earlier how you made like a function to slow down like the animation. You used that for one of them, I forgot just now. Were there any like other cases that come to mind where that was helpful? Because you like alluded to that. Do you have any like, I'm curious about that. Like when else did you use it?
Yeah, so I gave the example of demotion. So in preparation for this, I was looking to see where else I'd used it, and I just did a search in the file. I think it was about 7-ish places where I sped up or slowed down time to make things happen faster and slower than desired. And one other thing I would say about that, it is not optimized at all.
That's fair. I think that's kind of a running
well.
theme with the code. Sorry.
Because I didn't know what I was doing is why that was. But there was a lot of that, of like, let's just get this awesome thing in here and we'll worry about it later. And so I would not recommend the way that I did it. I really wouldn't. But it got in there and it worked, and so that was good.
Yeah, I mean, it looked messy, but I think I'm a very amateur coder, I'll say that. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, let's give a hand for Ron Weaver.
I have one last thing to say.
Yeah.
I have one last thing I wanted to say. Well, two last things. One, I created a new tune just for this purpose. I want to play with y'all. It's Dr. Jazz Hands. So find me. Yes. So find me in Toontown. And then the second thing I wanted to say, the Toontown Rewritten team, the amount of effort and love that you all put into the game, but also the community itself in keeping this sacred place alive. I gotta tell you, from the bottom of my heart, the amount of respect and appreciation I have for that is endless. So thank you for having me here.
Now, this isn't all that we have for Ron. He's going to be sticking with us throughout the day, so he'll be coming back to our booth in a little bit after a little break. If you want to get some autographs, take a picture with him, ask him some more questions about Toontown, we'll have a line set up for that. We also have you tonight at the Toonie Awards as one of our judges.
Yes.
And so for all you folks who are dressed up in your Toontown attire, Ron will be judging the Toonie Awards. We have you here tomorrow as well for the Great Toontown Pie Toss, where Ron has the honor of being the very first Toontown Online developer to participate in our Great Toontown Pie Toss.
I am very scared.
So come ready. If you want to get back at him for all of the cog attacks that he's thrown at you over the years with his code, now's the time. We also, right now, back at our booth, we're going to do a community photo. So if you want to be a part of our big community photo, we're going to line up in front of the banner. Whitney here will help direct everyone. Head down to the booth area. We'll make announcements over the microphone to try and get together. But if you want to be in just a little snapshot of ToonFest Orlando, we'd love to see you there. All right, thanks so much, everyone.